My name is Ron Moore. I'm the CEO of Super Grip Lock. It's a police recommended deadbolt accessory that makes deadbolts key and pick proof. I grew up in a little town called Myrtle Creek. It's in Oregon between Roseburg and Grants Pass. I came from a really poor family, and we didn't know we were poor. And you can't give what you don't have. And they gave everything they had to give, but they didn't have an education. And they weren't too much into an education. So in my generation, the education that we needed is to know how to work. I worked in a sawmill for a number of years, and I got hurt in a sawmill, and had to find a different line of work because I couldn't do any heavy lifting anymore. And so I never thought that I could buy and sell for a living. And what I started doing, I started buying motorhomes and trailer houses and cleaning and fixing them and reselling them. I wanted to work in the forest, but that didn't work out. I worked at it and I got good grades, and but I had to eat, and so that's why we started buying and selling trailers. In school, I took wood shop, and I was also took auto mechanics and just things that a country boy does that has to do. And I had an uncle, Carol. He remodeled houses, and I learned a lot from him. I worked for him part-time, and just came into that field. It was just more of an accident than anything else. My wife and I, we were on a vacation, and we were in our room, and the housekeeping, they walked right into the room, and when they was in the room, then they said housekeeping. And man, that just really irritated me that they unlocked my door and walked in my room. And the following week, in a different place, the same thing happened again. They unlocked the door. I seen the handle unlock, and you can see the handle when it unlocks. And I walked in the room and said housekeeping, and it just irked me. It just, my God, and so I just started thinking, how can I fix this? This is just nuts. And so I got thinking about a spring-loaded device that fit underneath the deadbolt and on the doorknob, and it had a dial on it. And my wife and I was having lunch in a restaurant, and I was showing her how this spring-loaded device, it could be dialed in to any lock position, and so it should work good. And she said, well, why don't you use a strap? And I said, what? Well, one thing I always do, I do listen to her. And I said, what do you mean, use a strap? And she explained that you could make an attachment for your deadbolt handle, and it would wrap around and then use the doorknob to hold that handle locked with. I said, okay, well, let's go buy some of that. And we bought the hook and loop material, and she got her sewing machine out and made it up, and my God, it just worked fantastic. I just couldn't believe it. And the beautiful part about it, being it was fabric, it's self-adjusting. It adjusts to anything, and so that's how we got started. It wasn't my idea, it was a woman's idea. And you know, men think they can handle everything, women just want to be safe, and this gives them an opportunity to be safe. The problem is that basically I was a sawmill worker, and I had no knowledge of marketing, but I knew the product was needed. And if you live in a rental, you don't know how many keys are out there for that rental. And this keeps your deadbolt locked. And so I thought, well, we'll just, we sold our house, and we finally got the product we wanted, and that was fun. And after getting the product we wanted, we went on the road from town to town, and we'd go to a motel and look in the yellow pages to where the lock shops were, and the hardware stores, and even drug stores. And we had a 36-unit counter display. And so we were selling 36 units at a time from store to store, from town to town. And she was a navigator, and she told me where to go and how to get there, and did a great job. And it was an adventure. And basically, we didn't make any money. We were lucky to break even, and but we just kept working at it and being encouraged by the comments from the various owners. And finally, I introduced it to law enforcement, and boy, they loved it. They knew things that I had no idea of. And they knew that bump keys and pick guns were being sold online. And what bump keys and pick guns are unlocking devices. And they open a locked door nearly as fast as a working key. I was just totally shocked that people could buy and sell bump keys and pick guns. And I was so shocked, as a matter of fact, that I called the Homeland Security. And Homeland Security said it's a Fifth Amendment right. And the problem with that is there's nothing I could do about it. I just didn't think putting every family in America at jeopardy by selling pick guns and bump keys would be a practical thing to do. But it's a right, and so we have to deal with it. But in the meantime, the public needs to know what's going on, because the general public, they're just totally unaware that pick guns and bump keys are sold online, and they teach you how to open your neighbor's door. I find it shocking. One of the primary achievements is a response that we've had from law enforcement and those in the lock industry. And if you go to our website at supergriplock.com, the policeman that you see there, he volunteered his home and his time. So families would understand they need to protect themselves. And he says he not only endorses Super Grip Lock, he highly endorses Super Grip Lock. And when officers do that, they step beyond the norm, because they just don't do that. And he was a veteran of a 22-year police veteran, and he did it because he cares about the family and communities, and he wanted to help fight crime. And that's what this does. It helps law enforcement fight crime. I think that the most personal achievement that I had in my life is learning to listen. And guess what? Men think they're pretty smart. Women have so much to offer. You have to learn to listen and evaluate. And I think learning to listen was an achievement for me that I appreciate every day. And who I appreciate is my wife. Because, my God, they think in areas that most men just don't go there. And they have a different understanding and a different point of view, And you have to listen to broaden your point of view. I think that's probably one of my biggest achievements. It was learning to listen, and I'm very thankful I have. What my family taught me was how to work, and they came from the old school, and I opened a service station in the morning before I went to school. I closed a different one down at night after school. And I just never was afraid of working. And working has got me where I am today. It's just a matter of work. And I've just never been afraid of work. Work just, my father always said any honest work is honorable. And I always believed that. And I still believe it. I love helping people. I've always enjoyed helping other people. And we're all a family. I don't care what color you are. I don't care where you come from. We're a human family, and we need to look out for each other. And Super Grip Log looks out for everyone. And I love it because there's families in every corner of America and really all over the world. And in today's world of violence, that one little ounce of protection can save your life. And it's a good thing to do for yourself and a good thing to do for your family. A lot of people today have their heart in their hand. And your heart is in here. You got to put your hand down. You have to teach children, young men and women, you have to focus on what you want to do. And your heart is not in your hand, it's here. And let that heart guide you. We live in difficult times. We live in difficult times for all walks of life, from the young to the old. And we need to learn a balance. And a balance is awful hard to come by unless you know what you're going after. So you have to have a goal in life. And having your nose in your computer all day long, it's fun and entertaining, but it's not complete. And only the person holding that phone or computer can make it complete. And they have to step back and start thinking about the future. And it's a hard time to think about the future when there's so much violence. And it's good to get lost, I guess, into a computer, but it doesn't solve the problems. Well, there isn't a single word that would summarize my life. My life, it was my life has been amazing. I've enjoyed my life probably more than I should, but I grew up in the mountains, and I know how to hunt, I know how to fish, I know how to trap, I know how to live off the land, and I love the outdoors. And my wife, she loves the outdoors as well, and we spend a lot of time in the woods. And it's not everybody has the same opportunity. And the opportunity I had is that we grew up in the woods, and we lived in a house built from boxcar grain doors. In the inside of our house, we had newspapers pinned to the wall to keep the wind from blowing through. So when you grow up under certain circumstances, I mean, it was okay, that was fine. We had a little pot-bellied stove that would heat on one side of the tin stove. and they use it to cook on. But I think what growing up in those kind of circumstances, it gives you appreciation. And so when I can go in the back room and I can flush that toilet, I gotta tell you, I appreciate it, you know. And so the appreciation is different depending on who you are and where you were raised and how you were raised. So I think that has to depend a lot upon who you are. I would like to be remembered as a person who cares. And I do care. And I care about families all over America. They've got blood going through their veins just like I do. And I care about them. I care about the little single mom, and I care about grandma and grandpa and the people that are living by themselves that need a little extra to make it a little nicer for them so they can put their head down at night and know no one's going to slip in their house. And I enjoy helping others. And this is why I've enjoyed Super Grip Lock, and I've worked at it for so long. And I've found a lot of partners in law enforcement and in the lock industry and those outside the lock industry that understand the need and are willing to step up to the plate. And that's why you can find it on Amazon. We have different companies that are also retailing the product for $10. And it allows people to afford security. And that makes me happy.